score. But one thing they're not happy with is the way they managed the puck in that first period. Way too many turnovers, way too many gifts given to the opponent.
Steps between the circles.
And a big old good morning to the internet. Today I want to take a look at NHL 16. It was recently released, and as an avid hockey fan, obviously I picked up a copy. To be clear, I had very high hopes for this game. NHL 15 felt to me kind of like a beta. Not only did you have to wait months, but you had to download massive updates to finally get the full game. The actual gameplay was great. So my hope is that NHL 16 expanded on that a bit and finally added in some missing features that the older games had that NHL 15 was missing, at least initially. Now, my first impression of the game was one of a little bit of annoyance. I hate how they make you play a game right off of the bat to kind of test your skill. And you had to play a game between the Blackhawks and the Lightning, two teams I really couldn't care less about, although I do like Stamkos a lot. But anyway, like other titles, I just immediately quit out of that game first chance I got and went into the main menu. I can tweak the game myself, it's not a big deal. The next thing that I did notice when I did that, though, is that the menu system is surprisingly fast. There's still a little bit of a lag there, but it's very minimal, and I've mentioned before that it seems like every single NHL title from EA has a very laggy menu, but it seems like for now, they fixed that. I was also pleased to see that we have playoff and season mode right from the start this time around, although there really wasn't a question there. It was just more of an annoyance last time. But I did start season mode and had a little bit of a groan just because they only have a full season. You can't do 48 or 24 game seasons anymore, which granted you couldn't do that last year either, but prior to this you could do shortened seasons, and I really like that. I really want to play a shorter season. I don't have the time or the attention span to play a full 80 plus game season and playoffs, but if I could do like a 20 to 40 game season and some playoffs, that I would do, but unfortunately it's not an option. So a little bit of a gripe there, but not a big deal. I'll just play the playoff mode over and over like I did last year, and it was good. The presentation of the game is pretty spot on to an NBC TV broadcast, or at least as close to one as you can expect on a video game, and that adds a whole lot to the experience. And something that I thought they took out this year, but I actually found later, was the little introduction to the city and the arena that you're going to be playing in, like they did in NHL 15. For whatever reason, it wasn't until either the 5th or 6th game that I played that video finally popped up. So I don't know if that was a bug or something. I don't know. But what was also weird is in all the NHL games, you can go in and you can tweak all of the settings, like your shot accuracy, your shot power, your goalie skill, CPU skill and adjustment, and all that stuff. That also didn't appear for me until about the 5th or 6th game. So I tore into the game trying to find that because I love that setting. I like to tweak the game to my preferences, and I couldn't. I thought they removed that, and I got kind of upset. But then I was just going through the menus after a couple games, and there it was. I'm not sure why it wasn't there previously. Maybe it had something to do with the bug that was keeping that other video from playing. Who knows? But that's something I experienced. However, once they came up, they were always there, and everything was fine after that. The game plays out very good. It feels just as good as last year's entry with a few noticeable tweaks, and I'm still on the fence if I like the tweaks or not. I get them, but I'm not 100% certain I'm there. First off, the players, they don't really turn on a dime anymore, which I guess is a little bit more realistic. The players feel a little bit more weighty, and they seem to carry more momentum with them whenever you're moving them. And that's fine. You know, it adds to the realism. I'm cool with that. It's just that I used to be able to just line up a guy when I was on defense and just drill him into the ice, and that's not as easy to do this year. But it's cool. I'll adjust. I'll adapt. Not a big deal. I'll figure it out. What I don't like is the little catch-up mechanic that they do. And they've always had a mechanic where if you start getting a really big lead, the game just goes, nope, and decides to score a goal on you, and you have nothing that you can say about it. The game just takes over, you can't defend it, and just hammers a goal. But for NHL 16, that seems to have been kicked up a notch, where the game will score in bunches right off the bat, in back-to-back-to-back games. If I had a lead of about 3 to 4 goals, all of a sudden the game would kick in and just score 3 goals right off the bat. Nothing I could do, couldn't defend it, I couldn't touch them, nothing. And this happened to me a lot. And then once while I was playing a game against Montreal, The game scored 3 goals, all from center ice. Just right from the center ice area, just chucked a laser beam right into my goal, 3 in a row. And then after that, didn't do that quite as much anymore. Montreal and I kind of traded goals back and forth. And then all of a sudden, Montreal started sniping from right around the blue line again, just back-to-back goals. And after they racked up about 6 goals in a row doing this, I had to reset the game. I was like, okay, something is not right here. So I reset the game, played that game again, and the game seemed back to normal, but this whole catch-up mechanic was a lot more aggressive still. It was much more aggressive in this game than I've ever seen it. And I get it. I like playing tight games, actually. Even if it's a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game, a nice close score, I enjoy that. I prefer that, and I don't mind being scored on, and I don't mind losing a game if it's a game I lose legitimately. But I want the CPU to be fair about it. I want the game to actually beat me and not just use some built-in mechanic that I can't defend against to try to even the score. I'll go into the settings, I'll tweak the settings. If the game's too easy, I'll go into the settings and I'll make it harder for myself. And that's it. I like a good, challenging, tough hockey game, but beat me fairly, not with some built-in mechanic. Also, while on the topic of gameplay, they do have a built-in trainer as well, which I don't really know a whole lot about it. I can't confidently talk about it because I immediately turned it off after about 15 seconds. Basically, it's a bunch of pop-ups and stuff that appear while you're playing that tell you, okay, shoot here, shoot now, pass now, and I couldn't deal with it. I had to turn it off. So other people may like it, not for Steven. Did not like it. But overall, I like the game. I realize I have some gripes, but I really, really enjoyed the game so far. It's fun. I can see the progression from last game, and for the most part, my hopes were met. Yeah, I'm critical in a few areas, but I'll adapt, I'll get over it, and I'm sure some of the stuff will be patched out. It's a good entry into the series, and it's the game that I wish they released last year, but I get they needed time to kind of build it up since it's a whole new generation of consoles and whatnot. Not a big deal. I think it's an excellent point to grow from, and I can't wait for next year's game to see even more polish and love go into it. So I think this year they gave us a perfectly playable game and nearly lives up to the game's widely celebrated history. So if you're a hockey fan, I recommend it. It's not a bad go.
The Stars have possession through the neutral zone. Sharp slashed on the play, and there'll be a penalty coming out. Kessel's penalized 2 minutes for slashing.
Oh, that's a blatant slash, Doc.